Hey, welcome back to Reading Out Loud Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And today we are going to be reading it for 20 minutes. And without further ado, we shall start the timer. And the timer starts right now. Before we continue with the timer, just need to check where we are on progress. We are still on book 8. But if we persist, then I think we should be able to complete it, hopefully by day 30. And the timer starts right now. Bam. Let's do it. And with them dead, what would those they mourn do then? It is all stench and corruption in a bag of bones. If you have sharp sight, use it. But as the poet says, add wise judgment. In the constitution of a rational being, I can see no virtue that counters justice, but I do see the counter to pleasure, self-control. If you remove your judgment of anything that seems painful, you yourself stand quite immune to pain. What self? Reason. But I am not seeing justice, granted. So let your reason cause itself no pain. And if some other part of you is in trouble, it can form its own judgment for itself. The obstacle to sense perception is harmful to animal nature. An obstacle to impulse is likewise harmful to animal nature. Something else will similarly obstructive. Something else will be similarly obstructive and harmful to the constitution of plants. It follows that an obstacle to the mind is harmful to the intelligent nature. Now apply all this to yourself. Is pain or pleasure affecting you? That is, for the senses, you have formed an impulse and then met some obstruction. If this is an unconditional aim, then yes, the obstruction harms your rational nature. But if you accept what is common experience, no harm is yet done or hindrance caused. You see, no one else will impede the proper functions of the mind. The mind cannot be touched by fire, steel, tyranny, slander, or anything whatever. Once it has become a perfect ground in solitude. I've no cause to hurt myself. I've never consciously hurt anyone else. Joy varies from person to person. My joy is if I keep my directing mind pure, denying no human being or human circumstance, but looking on all things with kindly eyes, giving welcome or use to each as it deserves. Look, make yourself a gift of this present time. Those who are more inclined to pursue fame hereafter fail to reckon that the next generation will have people just like those they dislike now, and they too will die. What anyway is it to you if this is the echo in future voices, and this the judgment they make of you? Pick me up and throw me where you will. Whenever I land, I shall keep the good. Whenever I land, I shall keep the God within me happy, satisfied. That is, if attitude and action follow its own constitution. Is this present thing any good reason for my soul to be sick and out of sorts, humbled, craving, shackled, shying? Will you find any good reason for that? Nothing can happen to any human being outside the experience which is natural to humans. An ox too experiences nothing foreign to the nature of oxen, a vine nothing foreign to the nature of vines, a stone nothing outside the property of a stone. So if each thing experiences what is usual and natural for it, why should you complain? Universal nature has brought you nothing you can't endure. I'm feeling a little bit out of sort today, probably because I went on a run today, but water break for now. If your distress has any external cause, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment of it, and you can erase this immediately. If it is something in your own attitude that distresses you, no one stops you correcting your view. So too, if you are distressed at not achieving some action you think salutary, why not carry on? Why not carry on rather than fret? But there is an obstacle in the way too solid to move. No cause for distress, then, since the reason for failure does not lie with you. But life is not worth living if I fail in this. Well then, you must depart this life, as gracious in death as one does achieve his purpose, and at peace too, with those who stood in your way. Remember that your directing mind becomes invincible when it withdraws into its own self-sufficiency, not doing anything it does not wish to do, even if its position is unreasonable. How much more then, when the judgment it forms is reasoned and deliberate? That is, why a mind free from passions is a fortress. People have no stronger place of retreat, and someone taking refuge here is impregnable. Anyone who has not seen this is short of wisdom. Anyone who has seen it and does not take refuge is short of fortune. Do not elaborate to yourself beyond what your initial impressions report. You have been told that so and so is maligning you. Is maligning you. That is a report. You have not been told that you are harmed. I see that my little boy is ill. That is what I see. I do not see that he is in danger. So always say like this within your first impressions, and do not add conclusions from your own thoughts. And then that is all. Or rather you or rather you can add conclusion of one acquainted with all things. Or rather you can add conclusion of one acquainted with all that happens in the world. A bitter cucumber, throw it away. Brambles in the path, go round it. That is all you need, without going on to ask, so why are these things in the world anyway? That question will be laughable to a student of nature, just as any carpenter or cobbler would laugh at you if you object to the sight of shavings or offcuts from their work in the shop floor. Yet they have somewhere to throw their rubbish, whereas the nature of the whole has nothing outside itself. The marvel of its craft is that it sets its own confines and recycles into itself all within them which seems to be decaying, growing old, or losing its use, and then creates afresh from this same material. This way it requires no substance other than its own, and has no need for a rubbish dump. So it is complete in its own space, its own material, its own craftsmanship. Do not be dilatory in action, muddled in communication, or vague in thought. Don't let your mind settle into depression or elation. Allow some leisure in your life. They kill, they cut in pieces, they hunt with curses. Well, what relevance has this to keeping your mind pure, sane, sober, just? As if a man were to come up to a spring of sweet, clear water and curse it, it would still continue to bubble up good water good to drink. He could throw in mud or dung. In no time the spring will break it down, wash it away, and take no color from it. How then can you secure an everlasting spring and not a cistern? By keeping yourself at all times intent on freedom, and staying kind, simple, and decent. Someone who does not know that there is an ordered universe does not know where he is. Someone who does not know the natural purpose of the universe does not know who he is or what the universe is. Someone who fails in any way one of these ways cannot tell the purpose of his own existence either. So what do you think of a man who fears or courts or courts the applause of an audience who have no idea where they are and who they are. I'm going to repeat this paragraph because I think it struck something in me. Someone who does not know that there is an ordered universe does not know where he is. Someone who does not know the natural purpose of the universe does not know who he is or what the universe is. Someone who fails in any one of these ways could not tell the purpose of his own existence either. So, what do you think of a man who fears or courts the applause of an audience who have no idea where they are or who they are? Do you want praise of a man who curses himself three times an hour? Do you want the praise of a man who curses himself 3 times an hour? Do you want to please a man who can't please himself? Can a man please himself when he regrets almost everything he does? What? That's crazy. This guy wrote this so long ago. But it's still really, really relevant right now. Do you want the praise of a man who curses himself 3 times an hour? Do you want to please a man who can't please himself? Can a man please himself when he regrets almost everything he does? Don't now just take your breath from the surrounding air, but take your thought too from the mind which embraces all things. The power of mind spreads everywhere and permeates no less than the air. It is there for all who want to absorb it, just like the air for those who can draw breath. Wickedness overall does no harm to the universe. Individual wickedness does no harm to the recipient. It is only harmful to the perpetrator, and he has the option to be rid of it just as soon as he himself decides. To my determining will, my neighbor's will is as indifferent as his breath and his body. Sure, we are born above all for the sake of each other. Nevertheless, the directing mind of each of us has its own sovereignty. Otherwise, my neighbor's wickedness would be shown my own harm, and this was not God's intention, to leave my misfortune up to another. The sun appears to pour himself down, and indeed its light pours in all directions. But the stream does not run out. This pouring is linear extension. That is why its beams are called rays, because they radiate in extended lines. You can see what a ray is if you observe the sun's light entering a dark room through a narrow opening. It extends a straight line and impacts, so to speak, on any solid body in its path, which blocks passage through the air on the other side. It settles there and does not slip off or fall. Something similar will be true of the flow and diffusion of the universal mind. not an exhaustible stream, but rather a constant radiation, and there will be nothing forceful or violent in its impact on obstacle, and there will be nothing forceful or violent in its impact on the obstacles it meets. It will not fall off, but will settle there and illuminate what receives it. Anything unreflective will deprive itself of that light. He who fears death, either unconscious or another sort of consciousness. Now, if you will no longer be conscious, alrighty, we're going to finish this paragraph before we conclude today's reading session. He who fears death, either Repeat. He who fears death fears either Repeat. He who fears death fears either unconsciousness or another sort of consciousness. Now, if you will no longer be conscious, you will not be conscious either of anything bad. If you are to take on a different consciousness, you will be a different thing. You will be a different being, and life will not cease. Whoa, I think we're really close to book 9, so I think we're going to push it, okay? Men are born for the sake of each other, so either teach or tolerate. An arrow flies in one way, the mind in another. Yet even when it is keeping on the alert, or circling around an inquiry, the mind moves no less directly and straight to its target. Enter into the directing mind of everyone, and let anyone else enter your own. Enter into the directing mind of everyone, and let anyone else enter your own. Alright, book 9. Wow. Tomorrow we're going to start with book 9. But this is the end of today's session. See you tomorrow.